This is Relationship Talks with Rick and Naaman. I'm Rick.
And I am the mastermind, the DJ Blue.
And he's Naaman.
The DJ Blue.
The other day I was scrolling on Instagram and I came across a post by Wordgasm. And they had their definition of what a situationship is. And it kind of cracked me up. I had never really thought of it so much in this terms. I had never heard it called this, but said
Let's start off with the idea that anytime you put gasm on a word, it sounds so dirty. It doesn't even matter, man. It doesn't matter what you put on it. If you put gasm on it, there's this artist.
This automatic filth.
Right. You say what?
Just automatic filthy after you say that word.
Exactly, 100%. And there's this artist that's around Detroit area, and it's either like around Detroit, but anyway, it's all throughout the metro area because I've seen his thing is GASM. That's his tag. Like he'll do the GASM, which is gasm. Right. Essentially. He'll do the GASM, and every time I see it, it looks dirty to me. It's kind of gross.
I can't really argue with you about that. Like
it's just like gasm, like pervert. I mean, orgasms are awesome, but I don't want to see them on the walls of establishments where I buy my produce.
Well, moving right along from that, I don't think it's a smooth way to move away from that. I think you just kind of gotta go.
That escalated really fast.
Just really fast, you know what I'm saying?
Escalated.
But anyway, so with that play, I'm not gonna say their name again, but what they posted was situationship. It says, let's just chill, have sex, and be confused on the fact that we're not together, but have official emotions for each other.
That's terrible.
And I was like, wow,
that's just terrible.
I mean, really, that's what a situationship is in a lot of situations. And it made me think like, man, like I didn't even really have to think that hard. Like I know I've been in situationships. I can think of 2 that I've been in. And another,
I could think of 3 that you've been in. So yeah, 100%. We're on the same page.
You can think of 3 I've been in.
4 or 5, if you will.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if I check my notes, let me check my file marked Richard's women.
Oh my goodness. It's a little file, you know.
Just in case something happened and, hey, I got to backtrack, I got to, hey, I got to backtrack. You know what happened here? I wasn't there. He was with me. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Whatever.
It's another definition that I heard of it is one person wants a relationship while the other person doesn't. Mm-hmm. And so, like I said, I can think of 2 situations where I was in situationships, and the 2 times that stand out, like was times
Only
where
2?
The 2 times that I was in situationships were times that I really wanted a relationship, but the other person didn't want a relationship. And the thing about it is that that's something that you talk about at the very beginning of whatever you want to call it. If it's a situationship, relationship, you kind of, I really like to establish goals. So, when you get with someone and you say like, hey, I'm looking for a relationship, and they say, I'm not, then you kind of in this middle situationship, if you please, if you will, that one of you is going to get what they want or not.
I would say, honestly, like, just like you said, you and your 4 or 5 situations that you've been in where they've obviously not been interested, and then you would call and take them out to eat dinner. I mean, sometimes too, movies on blankets.
Oh wow, we're just
I feel like
resurrecting a blanket.
I feel like I've been watching this one show, and in this show it's about for example, someone who lives in another country, and then they either invite someone over from that other country, or they go to live with that person for about 90 days, and then they essentially have 90 days to get married. Right, I'm saying, but that's what they do. But in those situations, I would say situationships are more common than not, because I've been watching a lot, obviously, but in those places, in those realms of relationship, there's so much confusion because of 2 things: communication, that's the first thing, and then the language barrier. So it's like two things that are super against like the whole concept. You have one thing that needs the language barrier, communication, and then you have the language barrier, so you can't communicate.
So it's like communication to communication.
Exactly. It's like you need to learn how to communicate what you're saying. And if you can't do that, you're literally stuck marrying this person from Timbuktu. That you didn't even know all they needed was a visa.
That seems to be the recurring thing. That seems to be a really recurring theme in that show.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, honestly, they just should stop calling it. They should just start calling it situationship in 90 days. Are you gonna stay with this person or not? Like, what's happening here? Because they want a visa. Are you gonna get this person a visa? So I don't know. Situationships are scary to me because I love communication, and anytime I'm sitting there trying to wonder, like what's happening here, that's terrifying.
I can think of the first situationship I can think about. When we first started dating, we made it very clear that I was looking for a relationship, and she's like, I don't want to be in a relationship. But then we went on to continue multiple dates, hanging out all the time, talking every day. And then we would do all of these things. So look, we would do all of these things and it would look like we were together. And then eventually she would come at me like, hey, it looks like this feels too much like a relationship. I need to take a step back. And then we would take a step back for like a couple weeks and then we'd be right back into the cycle.
Yeah, and you know what? It's like, but see, that's the thing. I think females and males alike, man, no matter what gender you consider yourself as, let's just take gender out of it, right? Let's just say, no matter what type of human you are, okay, communicate. Okay, because the thing is, for example, hey, you're out there lovey-dovey on these habitual situation wasters.
Habitual situation. Yeah, that's exactly
time wasters.
That's exactly where you're going with that at first. I see.
Habitual. What is that saying again?
Time wasters.
Got
lost
on the word.
You were talking about that
on the word
communication,
wasting time.
Time wasters. Yes, I got you.
It's like communication is key because in those situations they could have just relayed that information to you. Like, look, I love hanging out with you, and I'm comfortable. They could have said this, like, I'm comfortable with doing boyfriend, girlfriend, relationship, intimate things. Without the whole right, exactly. Boom. That would be the time. That would be the time where that habitual time waster needs to say, "But." That's like one of the only times that I think a but. Well, there's plenty of times where buts are important in those relationships, but I think that's a good point in communication where the but would be like, "But I don't want a relationship," and that's like literally, like you said, at the beginning of the relationship, like
yeah. And I mean, it'd be fair. Like the situations I'm thinking about, both situationships I'm thinking about, both of them said that. But I think the thing that's you know that old saying is like actions speak louder than words.
Actions speak louder than Richard, apparently, because no one, they do not know that you're looking for a girlfriend, apparently.
No, I mean, they knew, and the thing is that. You can establish it and you can understand that, all right, she doesn't want to be in a relationship. But then when you continue to do relationship type stuff and it's like you're a couple, that's like saying the opposite of what you just said, right? So you start to think like, all right, she says she didn't want to be in a relationship, but we just doing boyfriend and girlfriend stuff like every day. Like I see her 2-3 times a week.
That's a form of abuse.
And then it's like all of a sudden it's like, remember I said I didn't want to be in a relationship. It's like, no, we're already actually in a relationship. It's just we don't have a title.
And that's, like I said, that's in my mind. I don't know how other people feel about this, but in my opinion, that is like the basic form of abuse. Because if you think about it, the metaphor of dragging someone along, that's legitimately what you're doing. You're dragging them along. You're pulling them with you. You're not giving them the understanding. And the thing is, yeah, granted, hey, it's like maybe she gave, or they, all of these women that, that did this to you, maybe they gave you signs. Maybe they gave you signs. However, I think the communication was lost because even though they threw those signs out, they never confirmed if you got what they were throwing.
I don't know. My thought is always that I was pursuing a relationship, even if they said that they weren't. If we continued to do relationship type stuff, that was kind of like maybe their minds are changing. Maybe they
So
changed their mind.
maybe this is that pill, the pill to swallow. You know, I have this saying that I've been saying lately, because for me, I've had to swallow several large pills, and I do not have COVID. I am healthy as far as I
Oh my
know.
goodness.
But in that situation, that could be maybe, hey, you were, you know, and it happens. Maybe you were just so deeply, I guess, I wouldn't even say in love. Maybe you were on the cusp of actually really falling in love with this person, and that is essentially, in my opinion, you know, knowing like all of the situations you've been into, that is essentially,
you're saying it like it's a ton of them. I said too.
Knowing the list, like I've got this long list. No one can see me.
So no, like a big piece of paper with nothing on it.
It's a big piece of empty paper. But no, I mean, it's just communication in those formats, and it's a possibility that you were blinded by, you know, the things that you guys were doing, because you are the type of person, just like all other people, who like to go on dates, who like to spend time intimately with their loved ones or their girlfriend, boyfriend, their partner, whatever. You like to do those things, and when you're connected to someone on that level, you know, you don't want to get yourself hurt at the same time. Right. You're not thinking about being hurt because you're thinking about the love and everything that you have.
The enjoyment,
because you don't believe it.
The companionship, and
exactly.
You know, I believe people's words, but I believe people's actions too, and it's just really confusing. And so another way that I use to describe a situationship is like a situationship is like a movie set. From a distance, It looks like something real, but once you get close to it or touch it, there's no substance there.
Yes, that's actually a really good a good way to see that, because I mean, I can imagine walking on this set, right? I see everything the way it is, and it's about 4 or 5 women, and then you're on the other side of the room. You have this confused look on your face, like, all right, what?
Where are we going with this?
I don't even know, but I'm making up the story as we go. But it's going to be involved with you not understanding that they don't want to be with you, but hey, you're going to take them out to eat. You're going to take them everywhere. You're going to promise them things. You're going to give them all of that love and that energy. And at the end of the day, you know what they're going to give you?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I see.
You didn't let me finish. That was what I was supposed to say.
I knew that's where you're going with it.
That's a scary movie, Richard.
Have you ever been in a situationship?
Yeah. I mean, I was younger. I mean, I was in relationships that, you know, didn't even exist, but you know, it is what it is. You know, I'm resilient. You know, I was married a couple times, couple kids that doesn't exist. But I'm one of those.
Couple fake kids, you know.
No, I would say, yeah, I've been in situationships. Honestly, I was in my longest relationship was a situationship.
It felt like a situationship.
I mean, looking back,
you didn't want a relationship, but she did, or
looking back at it, as I shouldn't have been in any of the relationships I was in. I'm gonna be real with you.
That's a fair point, knowing you as well as I do.
I'm gonna be like 1,000% with you. Like I should not have been in any of those relationships that I was in. I should not have been looking, because the thing is, I was only trying to find what I thought I knew. Mm-hmm. If that makes any sense. Like, I was trying to look for those things, so I wasn't actually looking for what I did know, which was peace, healthy relationships, communication. That I honestly, it's like, without communication, that relationship is basically just poop on a stick.
Man, it's nothing without, like, it's no relationship without communication, whether it's a friendship or a partnership.
100%. So it's like, for me, in those situations, I would say, if I were to give myself any type of advice, I would say, you know, in order for myself not to get caught up in that rut of communication, be completely honest.
Being honest,
completely honest
in the beginning, like, can save you so much time.
And if you're completely honest, that's cool. Be completely honest with yourself.
Yes.
Though. Yes. Be completely honest with yourself, because the thing is, you can lie to that person that's standing in front of you, right? And that's just going to be that particular lie. Hey, you may have this relationship, but they're not going to necessarily know it's a lie until it's been proven that it's a lie. However, if you lie to yourself in these relationships and you keep up that status quo of you know, just covering up dirt with more dirt, and just hoping to hide it, get it out. It's just so toxic, and then you end up stressing, and then you die. That's pretty much how that works.
Oh,
I know that escalated. See, it got really dark.
You keep going real, like you go 0 to 100, like just
I know
in the blink of an eye.
But that's serious. That's how I feel about it. I think that communication is so important, because people go through so many things. People dealing with mental health issues and things like that, and some of that could be because of whatever they're dealing with chemically or what have you. But some of it is also being able to communicate with someone that can communicate back with you, period.
Yeah, that's so important. So thinking about a relationship, even if at the beginning you state you are whoever that other person, at the beginning you both state your intentions, right. but you both end up entertaining relationship type situations.
Whoa, you said
but you both have relationship activities, right?
For sure.
Where does the fault lay in your opinion? Like, who gets that fault? Because you both, if you communicate in the beginning, like, who is at fault for getting into the situationship?
You are, from your own perspective. If we're talking about any type of fault and you're asking yourself who is at fault, you are at fault. I feel like I feel like that. I'm not saying like you.
Not me.
You are essentially you, Richard. You are at fault, but to the listeners, you would be at fault.
So who is at fault? The person who says that they didn't want to be in a relationship but still entertained it, or the person who said they did and still entertained it? Whose fault? Who do you think carries more fault?
Honestly, that's a hard one, because a fault in that case, for example, let's just use cars as an example, right?
Okay.
Now that car has a fat booty, right?
Oh my goodness.
You like this car. You want to drive this car. You want to get into this car. You want to push the engine. You want to make it go vroom, vroom, correct?
Okay.
I like cars. So
all right.
Forgive me if I'm just passionate about cars, all right? So if you're getting in this car, you saying, all right, yeah, I'm going to get in this car. I'm about to ride this car. You get in the car with the intention of saying, look, I want to drive this car all the way to New Mexico. This car only tells you, hey, you can only drive 2 miles from here. If you're okay with that, but if you're okay with that, we good. And you're like, no, not really, but I'm gonna drive a mile and see where we go.
Right.
And then you get that mile, you're like, okay, it's still BS. And then you wanting to drive further, they're like, nah, I can only go for 1 more mile. I'm just being honest with you.
Right.
And then that's really, really it. We can't do any long distance traveling. So you go that extra mile, and the car is gonna go along with it.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, it's both your fault.
That was like a real convoluted way to say it's like it's both your fault.
110%. But I believe it's both people's fault, and in the relationship, simply because the first person, you made yourself clear. If you were completely honest with this person and you said, look, I don't want this, but I do want this, and I know this is what I'm working towards, and then they tell you this is not what I'm working towards,
right?
You have this in your court, and you go forward with it, and you're like, all right, cool, I'm gonna go forward with it, see if I can change them. Then you're at fault. But if you both go forward and then you start doing the things that they said that they were not necessarily interested in that relationship, such as being intimate, going out on dates that would otherwise symbolize a relationship, hanging out at a house and falling asleep on someone's couch. In my opinion, if you come over to my house and you fall asleep on my couch,
we together.
We're probably gonna be together. That's basically how that is. And I'm not saying that in like, yeah, well, you're gonna be giving up them buns tonight. No. I'm saying that in more of a I'm communicating to you, like, if you don't feel that way about me and you don't want to be this close to me, why are you still here in my space? Like, we can just hang out regularly and just be friends,
right?
Cordial. Hey, how you doing? We can even hang out and go to the movies and be platonic. That's fine. But once it starts getting personal, once it starts getting lovey-dovey, and you start thinking about what to get them for their birthday, and it has to be sentimental, and once those things start getting involved, and then there's no commitment involved, you basically just just done. Like you
it's like where do you
done? Like you don't go. Like where do you go?
I think that's a great point that you really made when you talked about sitting on someone's couch and spending intimate time inside of someone's house or apartment or just their space in general. Just
wherever it is,
thinking about it, like in today's society, sexual pleasure is sometimes less intimate than actually sitting on the couch with somebody.
Awesome. But it's awesome though.
It's awesome, yes. But you know what I mean? It's less intimate. Like Netflixing and chilling is a thing. But like when you just sit there because you enjoy somebody's company and you guys are laid up next to each other and close, and you said like they falling asleep on your chest maybe or whatever.
He said that was very oddly specific.
Very specific.
Wait a minute. That was oddly specific. Now I was being pretty vague, Richard.
I mean,
you said fall asleep and you like that. That's your type of thing.
I'm just painting pictures with my words. Is what I'm trying to do.
Is that the type of stuff you're into though? Like you want somebody to fall asleep on your chest?
I mean, sometimes it would be nice.
I don't know. I think occasionally, maybe every once in a while, yeah. But I get warm really easy, and it's like you try to be cool about it.
But the thing that I mean is that there are things that mean way more than just sexual relations.
Oh, 100%.
And if you're doing these things inside of something that's quote unquote not a relationship, and you expect that person who wants a relationship to be 100% cool with that, then you need to kind of readjust.
Yeah.
Like when I look back at the situationships that I have been involved in, the only ones that really stood out in my mind were the ones where I was the one who wanted the relationship and the other person didn't. But when I think back about it, I'm pretty sure it was more situationships and that I'm not aware of just because the other way around also exists. It's times where I've hung out with women and we've went out on dates. Like if we're not like dating or moving towards dating, then I'm not like really gonna kiss you or anything like that.
All right, you in and out. You gonna come over. If you're gonna play cards, you're gonna play cards. If you guys are gonna hang out, watch TV, you're gonna watch TV, throw some banter, and you're gonna dip.
Yeah, I'm not gonna spend the night. It's not gonna be it'll be hugs, maybe a little bit of stuff like that, but no kisses or anything. We're not crossing any lines. And thinking about it even more so now, if I had ever been in that situation again, there was somebody who wanted to date me that I didn't want to date, I probably even give it more distance. And because I mean, you say so much with your nonverbal. Your nonverbal says way more than your verbal does. So, and just like you said, I totally agree with you that it's both people's faults. But I think in a lot of times in those situations, what ends up happening is the person who doesn't want a relationship but entertains relationship activities with the other person, they end up getting painted the villain. Mm-hmm. It's like they're the villain, but no, especially if they're upfront about what they. Fault. Yeah, if you're upfront with what you want, then you really can't blame someone else for being consistent and actually sticking to the thing that they said.
Now, I agree, and that's 100% the case. However, I think that it could be one person's fault based on two situations. Like, for example, if you are the pursuer and you're pursuing a relationship, and then they tell you blatantly, like, look, I'm not, and this is how I was, like, when I was actively, like, looking for someone, I would basically say, like, look, I'm really not looking for anything. Like, and this is when I found out, like, hey, I probably shouldn't be in a relationship right now. I've got some toxic stuff to burn off of me right quick, And then I was like, you know what? I'm not looking for anything other than friendship. And I was like, to be quite honest, I don't mind like talking. I don't mind hanging out platonically. Like I don't need to have sex with you in order for me to like love you or feel that I don't need that. Hey, it's definitely icing on the cake, but that's not something that I'm desiring initially. Like, of course, the sexual desires, that's going to be something that's there. And if I don't desire you sexually, then I mean, we can just be friends. That's fine. I'm fine with that. But anything else, like if that's the case, like I'm not chilling with you. Do not lay on me. Do not touch me. We cool. Like give
me my space.
Right. Give me my friendly space. Like when I hang out with my homies, like there's distance. There's like a lot of distance. We just enough distance to dap fists. That's about it. That's all. That's literally all the space you need.
He like COVID rules. Give me 6 feet.
Or maybe I want to jab somebody in the arm. While we playing a video game. That's the type of distance I need. You know what I'm saying? if we're, if we're not working towards the same goals here.
Yeah. I think about those times too, where I was dating and I was saying like, I'm not really looking for anything, but sometimes you just like to have companionship. You like to go out on dates,
right?
But you're not really looking for anything. And sometimes they definitely are.
Yeah.
And those times were exactly like you said, were times where I realized that I probably shouldn't be dating. Like, right. I really shouldn't be dating if I'm not looking for anything and I'm dating people who are looking for stuff, because it's not fair to give them false expectations of, even if I'm upfront, they're going to see me. Because, I mean, if I take someone out, even if it's like a platonic date, I'm going to make sure it's a nice date. You know what I mean? Like, and that sets up a false expectation for them. Like, maybe he's coming around. And, a lot of times us as people, we always try to get people to change their mind. Like, oh, they said they didn't want to date, but I'm about to change their mind. Look at what they're doing for me. And then you kind of get lost in the sauce when they come back and they be like, yeah, well, I still don't want to date. Even though we've done all this stuff, I'm still not looking for a relationship.
I think like you said, hey, sometimes backing off is always a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Backing off, kind of just reassessing your situation, figuring out, what you want. That's always a good thing. I do stress, like in those cases, if you are that type of person, just be okay with what you're okay with. Meaning, if you're okay with the relationship that you're in with them, meaning you're okay with no commitment, you're okay with doing the intimate things, and you're okay with not being in, and they're okay with that too, then perfect. Then you found yourself the perfect relationship, right? But I think it's just the lines will blur.
Yeah.
The lines will blur because it's different. It's difficult to spend a lot of time with one particular person, doing those types of things. And I think, like in your case, watching what you went through in some of your situations, for me, I know who you are. I know the type of dude you are. I know your history.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I can statistically say, well, based on this is logical. So when I saw those situations, I know how you are. You're very upfront, open. You're extremely open-minded. You like to have fun. You like to do those things, but you don't like to waste your time.
No.
You know what I mean? And I think that in some of the situations, that's what happens. You have, I think it's more or less, they don't have anything better to do.
Yeah.
They want to do that with you. However, they don't want to tell you that they don't want what you want, because you will leave them and therefore take away the goods that you know what I mean?
It's a treadmill relationship. You do a lot of running, but you don't go anywhere.
You don't go anywhere. So you're constantly working hard to keep up what you're doing, and basically not even knowing that the double and the extra that you're doing is basically bare minimum work, because they don't care about all that stuff. All they care about is the companionship. All they care about is that you're there with the, hot toddy when they need one. You know what I mean? That's all they care about, which is fine if that's what you're communicating.
Yeah, and I will say the one time I feel like it is the person's fault who doesn't want a relationship is if they don't state that up front.
Yeah.
If they don't state that up front, then I feel like that's on them, because if you don't state it up front and you're pretending like you're moving towards a relationship but you're not, that's not kosher.
It's not, because you're gonna only hurt yourself in the end, because they don't want you. They want what you have.
Sometimes
what you bring to the table.
Sometimes sometimes people are just looking for companionship or company or entertainment or whatever it is.
That's it.
I almost feel like situationships are like the new friends with benefits.
Yeah.
In a lot of situations, like situationships are like the new. It's like friends with benefits with the new name. All the intimacy. I mean, the post got it right. I was trying not to say the word to get us off course, but that post got it right. Like we can do everything. Basically, we're gonna do everything like we're in a relationship, but we're not in a relationship.
Right? Like we not. We gonna go out. We gonna call. We gonna text. We gonna say something in the morning. We're going to say something tonight. And personally, I hate expectations.
Yeah.
That sounds silly. AF. But I hate expectations, because the thing is, I don't know your expectations.
I mean, that's where that communication comes in, right?
Exactly. But in those situations, like, for example, let's use your situations as examples.
We keep going back to my situations. You got situations.
Have to. You have so many different statistical reasonings for going to yours. But I'm just saying, like you have to, kind of just be very concise. And you were concise. Like I remember having these conversations with you, and the things that you were saying and the stuff that you were getting back was just like, it was like holding you there. It was basically like giving you enough hope so that you would have no hope.
Yeah, exactly. I could tell.
That's like, what?
That's like I know crazy. Exactly what you mean. It's like just enough to keep me from going somewhere else.
Right. Like give you just enough so that you have nothing, but just enough.
Just a little bit of hope.
Just a little bit,
just
because that's all it takes.
Like
when it comes to love,
I might want a relationship one day, but
yeah. But when it comes to love, when it comes to those things, I think if you are being pursued by someone who has that same trait as Richard does, I would say you take care of their hearts. Because at the end of the day, they're not loving you because of something you have. They're loving you because you're you. They're loving you because they don't want you to change. You know what I mean? They don't want to take anything away from you. And the thing is, if you keep them and you don't want them, you're only hurting them. And the thing is, you're doing the worst thing that you can do to anybody, and that's specifically breaking their heart.
That is the worst possible thing that you could do. It's almost better to just stop it up front. Like
just piss them off. I would say that's way better. Piss them off rather than break their heart. Those are two different things. Because you get pissed off, that's fine. You're gonna be mad about it. You're gonna hey, you might mope for like a couple of days. Mope, is that a word?
Mope is a mope. Yeah,
moat. I said moat as in
mope, like
where
something around like around the castle, a moat around the castle.
Or maybe that could be used at that particular terminology as well. But anyway, if you're gonna, but if you're gonna do that, you're gonna mope. I don't even know where my thought went.
No, I mean, you made such a good point. Yeah, just the worst thing you can do if you don't want a relationship with somebody and they do and they're pursuing you, the best thing to do is to stiff arm it right there. Even though you might enjoy that stuff, if you really care about that person, do not go into a fake relationship with them and give them any hope that you might be changing your mind, because that is one of the worst things that you could possibly do to that person.
I would say also, based on things that I've heard from other people who've been in situations like that, one of the words that I hear, one of the bad words is the known evil.
Yeah, I remember we talked about that before, the known evil.
Yeah, the known evil.
It's like, I know what I have here. I don't know what's on the other side.
Like, if I'm getting beat up and getting beat up and getting beat up, and then I get free from that beat up, and then I go back into a situation because I'm familiar with it, like, that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. The known evil, if you know it's toxic for you because you've recognized the toxic symbols, dummy. it's a toxic situation. They're communicating to you right there. Hey, they're never going to change. It's always going to be them dragging you along because either A, they don't want commitment, B, they cannot commit, or C, they do not want a relationship at all.
Maybe they don't want to
hang out.
Maybe they don't want a relationship with you.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I would say good enough. I would say intimately they don't want to be with you. Friendship, they barely want to be with you. It's just basically like, hey, we're in the same place at the same time for some odd reason.
I think it's some people where it's a lot of characteristics and aspects of the relationship that clicks. But it's that one thing that doesn't click, and that's what keeps it from the situationship from turning into a relationship. You know what I mean? Like, it could be y'all intellectually are similar, intimately y'all are good, like friendship wise, y'all have the best conversations and all of that. But you might just not have that spark for that person, and that could keep it from moving to the next level. I can think of any time that I've been in a situationship and it didn't work out, and I was the pursuer. After I got my clout, after my mind got cleared from everything that was going on, I look back at
the strip clubs. You mean?
No strip clubs.
After the strip clubs and a bottle of vodka.
After my mind, it would be tequila, and you know this. I don't know
I
why you
still
said
got
vodka.
pictures, Richard. I still got
it ain't no
pictures.
pictures. Anyway, so after your mind get clear, after my mind has gotten clear from those situations, I look back at those situations and what the people were saying, the women that I pursuing was right. Like we weren't necessarily the best fit and we didn't see eye to eye in a lot of places. But once you get that compatibility and you start to get that intimacy that you build from even just like a friendship, you start to get that attachment and you start to stop looking at the things where you don't connect.
Yeah.
And I could think about somebody that I had pursued and I was in a situation with her, situationship with her. And after we stopped doing our back and forth, she ended up dating someone and then they got married, and just seeing her interactions with him versus her interactions with me, I never would have been
better.
I never would have been that person for her. I just wasn't it. I wasn't what she needed, and she knew that I wasn't what she needed. Even though we got along on all these different levels, she was right in saying that no, like we don't need to be pursuing a relationship together. It's not you, because if somebody is telling you no, you don't ever want to be in a relationship with somebody that you got to force to love you. Like I don't want to force somebody to love me.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's like that's my definition of insanity. Well, I mean, the definition of obviously insanity is, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I mean, that's the same concept, if they tell you, hey, like I'm not digging this, I don't want to go down this road, and then you still go down that road, like what are you doing? Like, do you love yourself? Like that's always my question.
Yeah.
Like that's always my question. Like, do you love yourself? And then like a person like you, I have to think about like I know you love yourself. I know you care about. I'm just saying, like I know you care about your well-being. I know that you have really high goals for yourself. But the way you love so passionate, you love deeply, and I think when people see that, they see the gold. They see the gold in that, because that's something that's valuable. You know what I mean? So I think honestly, in your situations or in other people's situations as well, it could be that you give a light that's so bright that even in their midst of complete honesty, they can't break away from it. So it's like it's kind of like, what is the word? It's a double-edged sword, if you will.
Yeah,
because
it really is.
if you don't stop it, they're not going to stop it because you're giving off the light. But you think in your mind they have not stopped it because they're moving forward. But in reality, they just ain't done it.
It's the biggest trick ever. And I'm a logical person, and I try to look at things logically. And obviously, I've experienced a lot of stuff with relationships. I've analyzed a lot of stuff with relationships, and I've seen a lot of stuff with relationships. So thinking about when those times I was in it, it seems like it would have been simple to recognize, all right, this is not going to go anywhere. I'm wasting my time. I need to move on. But in those moments, it was just like a fog. The more time I spent with that person, the more time I wanted to spend with that person, the more that I wanted to give of myself to that person. And then the more they, gave back, the more that they gave back,
it fed you.
Yeah, it fed me, and it reaffirmed like, ooh, maybe we getting somewhere. Like, this is what I want. Maybe this is what she wants now. Maybe she's changing her mind. And at the end of the day, those times I was in that situation, those women didn't change their minds. And it took a moment for me to wake up.
And you know what that's like? You know what I just thought about?
What's that?
It's like the concept of feeding a mouse right before they feed it to a snake.
Ooh.
You see what I'm saying? Like you giving this mouse this nourishment. This nourishment is like, oh, okay, well, I see the little snake over there in another cage, but they just fed me, so you move on. You live that other day. The next day they come in, they're not reaching in to feed you though.
They reaching like, what's in to grab you.
They reaching in to kill it. And the thing is, I think honestly, I know it sounds like a crazy scenario, but if we consider hearts, that mouse, that's basically all it is. That mouse is a heart. So essentially they're feeding your heart, they're feeding you, they're giving you everything that they know you need based on their experience with you, and then all to basically just end it all and feed you to a cobra.
That got bleak again, man.
That's morbid.
Man, like what's going on with you, man? You was
I don't
really
know.
dark today.
These producer notes that you have here. I don't know, Rich. I don't know where you came up with these things, but you're man.
Don't
you and your situationships, they brought it out of me. Yeah?
Don't blame it on me.
But I mean, I feel like that's literally like that's how it is though, because that's what they do. They feed your heart, and the thing is, you're being fed because in any relationship. And I always say this because I've experienced it. I say, hey, if I'm feeding you and I'm constantly feeding you and you give me back, I'm on 100%. And when I say 100%, I'm gonna give you exactly what you give me. So if you give me love and you give me all of this, I'm gonna give that exactly back to you, because I've been in relationships or been in positions where I'm not giving too much more than you're giving me because I look stupid. And not that I look stupid. I don't look stupid to anybody else. I don't give a care about what they think about me. I care about me. I value myself. And if I didn't value myself, then I'm like, all right, cool. I'm about to take you out to eat. Yeah. We're going to the Sizzler. Everything's on me. Let's get this party started. But we just friends though, so that's it. You know, I'm okay with that. Even though we're gonna hug and I'm gonna pay for the bill like a crazy person.
I will say that any situationship, any relationship, any situation, you know, outside of relationships, whether it's friendships, whether it's work, no matter what it is, I always think of it as a lesson.
Yeah.
It's not a loss, it's a lesson. And for sure. I think we talked about it before. I always hate to hear people say, like, I wasted X amount of years of my life.
Yeah.
Because...
Bro, hold on. I don't want to cut you off, but my ex... My ex used to say that all the time. And me personally, I'm like, you broke up with me like 1,000 times. Why didn't you just let it stick? And then I have to correct myself. Like, why didn't I let it stick?
Why didn't you let it stick? No, that's
there's that tough pill to swallow.
And I mean that's a fact, because it's so much you can learn from a relationship. I can understand wasting time in a sense that you're running on, you might have felt like you were running on a treadmill. You ran for a long time, but you never got anywhere. Mm-hmm. But if the only way that you can judge whether or not you learn something is if the goal that you had set forth comes to fruition. So if you're looking to get married and you date somebody for 2-3 years and you don't get married, to say all that time was a waste. You know, I feel like you're kind of missing all the stuff that happened between it, because in any relationship, hopefully it's going to be some good times and some bad times, and it should be a lot of lessons, you know, because every relationship that I came out of to get to where I'm at now in a healthy, happy relationship, I learned from every relationship that wasn't healthy and happy in every situationship. And
you've had enough of them.
Whatever. But everything that I went through taught me a different lesson of what I'm willing to take from myself, what I need in a partner, what I want to accept in a partner, what I don't accept from myself, what I can give, how to communicate better, you know, how to be more selfless in certain situations, how to be more selfish in certain situations, how to say what I want. Every situation I've been through, whether it's a situationship, a relationship, good or bad, has taught me how to be a better person and how to be a better version of me. And at the end of the day, it's all about progression, and I'm all about progression.
100%. I'm with you on that. I think that the progression comes from the growth and the experience from those crappy situations you've been in. But, funny. I mean, but it's the truth though. Like the progression, you would not have the progression that you have now if you had not been in those situations where you've loved extremely hard and not getting anything back. Because honestly, if you've never experienced that type of pain, you don't know what it feels like. So you don't even know if you're doing it. You know, if you could be loving somebody, they could be giving you the bare minimum, like I said, and just keeping you strung along. And then one day they're going to feed you to that cobra.
Yeah. What'd you say? Like you could be in love with them because they feeding you McDonald's.
Yeah, exactly.
When you don't know that you worth steak, but you getting McDonald's, you getting chicken McNuggets, you worth steak.
Man, this one day I went on a long time ago, right? I went on this date, took this chick to Applebee's, bro. I don't even eat at Applebee's unless I'm like, unless I'm like, look, there's literally nothing else open right now, and I took her to Applebee's. She was like, oh my goodness, this is nice, and Like the food was terrible, the chicken was jacked up, and I don't eat raw food. And she's like, "Well, just order some more. Just get another." I'm like, "I don't want this crap," But for her, it was just like this was an awesome thing to her. Like no, I'm not. I know this is just basically me introducing myself to you in this crappy restaurant. Well, she had on this really like leather Michael Jackson jacket, but it was black. It was weird, man. Oh my god, that's another situation for another day, but. Man, that was weird. She tried to eat the chicken. She actually tasted it. Was like I told her it was pink. I was told it was pink inside, but that's Applebee's for you.
Man.
That's why I don't go to Applebee's. You know what? Let's talk about Applebee's.
No, man. Let's probably not. Like I really don't want to get sued by Applebee's. We probably should. I'm just gonna bleep it. Bleep.
Just beep it. Just beep it.
We really not gonna bleep.
Let's talk about like, wait a minute. That's hilarious.
But no, I mean it's so much, and I really the thing I hear parents say sometimes that
don't
like
get no tattoos.
The marriage
don't stay out late.
Like the marriage might not have been the greatest, and this is divorced people. Some of them say the marriage is not the greatest, but I would not give my daughter or my son back for anything in the world. And sometimes you can get great things out of horrible relationship. So,
well, I think honestly, creating anything, whether it's a child or music or a painting, or in your case, problems for other women, creating these things. No, just kidding, Richard. Everybody knows you're faithful. Everybody knows you're faithful to all of those women. I'm just kidding.
Man, the slander. The slander.
I know, right? It's been a long day. I haven't really eaten, so that's just basically it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. So I mean, I guess just moving right along. The last thing I'll just say is that it's always communication is key, but not just communication with the other person, but just being true and honest to yourself.
100%.
Because sometimes if you take time and you take stock and you're honest, you get out of that lug fog for a minute, you get out of that infatuation fog for a minute, and you really evaluate the situation, you might see that might not be the situation for you, and you might...
I like the stock word you used.
Take stock?
I love that word. You know why?
Why?
Because it simplifies value. You know what I mean? It simplifies your value. Like, that's the word. Like, take stock in yourself.
Yeah. Take stock in yourself.
Look at the value. Look at your value. Look at your worth. You know what I mean? Like, for example, a lot of people say, hey, I'm not about to work at this job. They're not treating me right. They leave.
Yeah.
But they say the same thing in relationships, but they don't leave.
But they stay.
And you're not getting paid, and it's only getting worse.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's somebody said once, it's a quote, and it's saying, if you know how much you're worth, you'll never let anybody give you less.
Oh, that's nice. I love that. I love that quote.
Yeah.
I'm going to start using that.
Yeah. So if you know what you're worth, don't accept less. Like, if you know that you're worth Red Lobster, do not take McDonald's or
Applebee's, man. I still I just have this vivid imagery of this tight black jacket this lady was wearing, bro. And it was just like, why would you even wear this to Applebee's? It's bringing me really bad PTSD thinking about that raw chicken. I don't do raw chicken, man. That's one thing. I do a lot of stuff. Raw chicken's not on that list.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. To be a part of the conversation, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Rick and Name. And please be sure to like and subscribe to our episodes on your favorite podcasting app. The DJ Blue.
I am.
The DJ Blue.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was always prepared. I'm always prepared. When people say the DJ Blue, I have to say I am.
What do you got going on right now?
Oh man, so many different things. Okay,
where can the people find you at? To see these so many different things.
You can find me on all different types of social media, Instagram and Twitter. I am the DJ Blue on those things. You can check out my single, Toot That Egg Roll.
There it is.
On pretty much all of your platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, Jesus Network. If there's one.
Oh, I was about to say, is that a thing?
It may be. Maybe I should talk to Jesus and see if I can get that going. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you can find me on all of those things. Check out the song. Tell me if you like it. Comment. I love making funny, interesting loving creative projects, and whether I'm, on the mic or talking to Richard.
It's your favorite part of the day, sir.
Yeah.
Well, you can find me at Doddism, and that's DODDSISM. And you can also listen to my other podcast that talks about issues from a Black perspective. And that podcast is called Still Talking Black. So I hope you check it out and let me know what you think. But until next time, boys and girls, remember,
there's always a next time.
Relationship Talks with Rick and Naaman is a Crown Culture Media LLC production. It is produced by me, Richard Dodds, and our theme music is by the DJ Blue.